right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lunar Flow. Today is the full moon in Capricorn, so it's definitely a pretty powerful day for a yoga practice. So if you have a Spotify playlist, feel free to go ahead and press play. You can find my playlist by searching for Lunar Flow with Nina on Spotify. Press play, make sure it's not shuffled and playing in order. And go ahead and find a comfortable seated position on your mat. You can sit on the edge of a block, on the edge of a blanket, whatever feels good to you. You can close the eyes or keep a soft gaze open. And take this time just to ground into the body. To ground into the mind. To ground into the breath. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Softening the jaw. Softening the hands and the feet. Noticing the quality of the breath. The expansion of the chest. The expansion of the navel with every inhale. Bringing awareness to our seat, noticing that point of contact between our seat and perhaps a block or a blanket or a pillow or the mat. Just noticing that point of contact. And noticing what other sensations are present in the body. Not judging or labeling these sensations as good or bad, right or wrong. Simply just observing what is coming up. Perhaps we feel tingling or pressure, warmness, coolness, tension, expansion, space, whatever is being felt, simply just naming it without any meaning attached to what we are naming. And noticing the mind along with the breath, along with the sensations in the body, just simply observing what is coming up in the mind. Once again, not judging or labeling anything as good or bad, right or wrong, simply just observing. What messages are we telling ourselves this evening? Just simply noticing. And staying here for just a moment, noticing if there is an intention that you'd like to set for your practice this evening. Full moons are about celebration, culmination, right? Celebrating what has happened in our lives the past few months, especially since the new moon that was in January in Capricorn. Noticing what has reached its completion? And this could be habits, this could be old beliefs, this could be a cycle of life. And how can we make room for what's new in our lives? So noticing if there are any intentions that you have around these ideas of celebration, culmination, perhaps gratitude. And one of the practices that I will center the flow around today is really the idea of literally going with the flow. And the moon right now is in the sign of Capricorn, which is actually opposite to the season that we're in right now, which we just transitioned from Gemini into Cancer. And Cancer is a very sensitive and home-centered, family-centered, really deep into the emotionality of life type of sign. Whereas Capricorn can be really goal-oriented, really striving for that action and really getting those goals set in motion. How can we really combine those two in a way that we can find this beautiful balance and synchronicity? And I want us to really notice, in addition to your intention that you set for practice, how we can really just go with the flow with our practice, right? And how we can go with the flow with what emotions may be coming up on the mat this evening, or perhaps thoughts that are coming up for us. And how can we really just go with them and not attach to what they mean or what they need to mean, but simply just observe them. Hello, thought. Hello, emotion. Thank you for being here right now. Simply acknowledging them and letting them pass on by. So with that, starting to deepen our breath, holding that intention that you set in your heart. Slowly start to roll our shoulders, adding some movement. Reversing the shoulder rolls, moving the shoulders forward. Perhaps rocking the head left and right just to open up the cervical spine. Maybe moving in very brief neck circles if that feels good to you. And we'll gently come to stillness and come onto our hands and our knees, getting ready for a few rounds of cat and cow. And go at your own pace in cat and cow this evening. So if you want to move a little bit quicker, you can go quicker. Just make sure that the hands are underneath the shoulders, the hips are stacked over the knees. Inhaling as the heart opens, the belly moves towards the mat. And exhaling as we round the spine into cat. Continue doing a few more rounds of cat and cow with your own practice in this way, really your own pace, moving with your breath. You can even close the eyes if that feels good to you. And adding any other movements that feel good in the body, perhaps gazing back at the heels, getting a lateral stretch. For some of you, it may feel good to move the hips in circles. You use the computer a lot lately. You can flip the wrist, pointing the fingertips towards you, adding some gentle weight onto the wrist. But just see what feels good and see if you can go with the flow. Right? Whatever that means to you right now, perhaps letting go of expectations on the mat this evening. And just saying hello, thanking what comes up, what emotions are coming up, what thoughts are coming up, what beliefs are coming up for us. Cat and cow is really nice for opening up the spine, for adding some mobility to the hips, really getting that blood moving. And if you've been in my Kundalini classes recently, it's really great for opening up the prana, the life force that is lying dormant at the base of our spine and helping to move that energy up and about. On the next breath, come back to tabletop position and come back into child's pose Taking a moment to stretch the palms out in front of us, the forehead to the mat. Maybe even rolling the forehead left and right. And on the next breath, come back into tabletop position. Just to open up some space in the abdomen and also to use that core to strengthen that core. Hug the belly to the spine, engaging the core here. Keep that breath moving. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, holding it above the mat as you push into the mat, shoulders away from the ears. Bring those shoulder blades back behind you. Shoulders down away from the ears. Breathing here. Keep that breath moving. Engage that core. You've got this. And bring the hips high, coming into your first downward dog. Breathing here, getting comfortable in this first downward dog. Spreading those fingers wide. Pedaling the feet, wagging the tail. Letting the head and the neck relax. And on the next breath, look to the front of your mat and gently walk your feet to your hands. Walking the feet to the hands, grabbing opposite elbows, coming into ragdoll. Feel free to bend the knees if that feels good to you, lying the chest on the thighs. Relaxing the shoulders away and see if you can bring the weight more into the balls of the feet, really getting that hamstring stretch, really stretching the backs of our legs. Practicing that Ujjayi breath, that oceanic breath, down the backs of our throats. Inhaling and exhaling out through the nose. Almost like a Darth Vader breath for those Star Wars fans out there. On the next breath, release the hands down and very slowly, one vertebra at a time, no rush here. We're where we need to be in this moment on the mat, slowly, slowly, slowly rolling up, one vertebra at a time. The head is the last to emerge. When the head comes up, shrug the shoulders up to the ears, and back down. All right, we're going to start to build some of that yang, that heat, really embodying that full moon energy, which is yang energy. So coming to the front of your mat, feet together, arms to the side, standing tall in Tadasana, mountain pose. Really root through the feet, all edges of both feet, standing tall. And we'll begin our Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutations A. Inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips. Uttanasana. Inhale, come up halfway. Ardha Uttanasana, hands on shins or fingertips on the mat. And exhale as you bend both knees, plant both hands. Bring that left foot back. Bring that right foot back. And coming into your first high plank. The wrists are directly underneath the shoulders. Bring those heels behind you as if you're trying to stand on a wall and lower the hips down so that you are in one line. We don't want the hips too high. We don't want the hips too low. So bring them into one line. Breathing here, engage that core here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rise back, downward dog. Great job. Breathing here. Rotating those inner elbows towards one another. Inward rotation, shoulders away from the ears. Inward rotation meaning that you want your inner elbows coming towards each other, which really is having an outward rotation of your whole arms, your upper arms. Breathing here, nodding the head yes, shaking the head no. Look to the front of your mat, step or jump your feet to your hands. Inhaling halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise up to standing, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Palms down at the heart and at the side, breathing here. And we'll begin again. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, bend both knees, plant both hands. Keep your right foot where it is. Bring your left foot back behind you, coming into a low lunge. Keeping that lunge, keep that back leg active, keep that front foot grounded. Keep your left hand on the mat or bring a block or a prop to place it on as you float that right arm to the sky, coming into a side twist. Breathing here. Squeeze that right knee in. Your right knee might want to come out. Squeeze it into the midline. Your gaze can be up at your right hand or down at the mat. Feel free to rotate that right arm and tuck that right arm into that left hip if you want to open up the heart even more. Keep that breath moving here, really building some of that yang energy, and then we'll totally wind down and transmute that energy towards the end. Breathing here, keep those deep breaths moving. Option to always bring that left knee down if you need. On the next breath, float that right arm back up to the sky if it was tucked in. The right arm comes to hug that right foot. Use your core to bring your right foot back to meet your left foot and lower all the way down. All the way down, untuck the toes. Squeeze those elbows in. Push the hands about 6 inches in front of you, keeping those elbows in. Inhale, coming up into Cobra. Keep the gaze down. Gaze at the third eye. Bring the eyes up to the third eye. Breathing here, opening up that heart. And exhale as we come down, forehead to the mat. Squeeze those hands back underneath the shoulders. Squeeze those elbows in. Tuck those toes, lift those knees, engage the whole body as you push up back into high plank and go back downward dog. Beautiful job. Breathing here. Just noticing what's coming up, saying hello. Thank you, thoughts. Thank you, emotion, for being here. Breathing here, nodding the head yes. Shaking the head now. Look to the front of your mat. Step or jump your feet to your hands. Inhaling halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Palms down at the heart and palms to the side. And once again, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, as you bend both knees, this time keeping your left foot on the mat, bring that right foot back, coming into a low lunge. Breathing here, either placing your right hand on a block, a prop, any prop, or the mat. Plant that right hand, open up that left arm to the sky, that left hand reaching towards the sky. Gaze can be down or up at the left hand, whatever feels good to you. Option to always bring down that right knee if you need. And if you're feeling more open today or you want to open up more, you can float that left wrist, the back of that left palm on the right hip. Breathing here, opening up that heart to the sky. Squeeze that left knee into the midline, activate that back leg if it's up, and keep that breath moving. Spinal twists are so great for releasing excess heat, excess anger, irritability, criticism towards the self and others, that pitta energy, if you are familiar with Ayurveda. So even though we're building yang, we're also releasing some excess heat here as well. Keep that breath moving. We'll float that left arm up to the sky if it was tucked in. Left arm comes back to frame that left foot. Use your core as you bring your left foot back to meet the right foot. Option here to come back into Cobra, or you can move through your vinyasa through Chaturanga. Breathing here. We're going with the flow today, just noticing what is there, being with what is. After all, the only constant in life is change. Spreading those fingers wide, the inner corners of the thumbs and the index fingers are rooted on the mat. Nod the head, yes. Shake the head no. Look to the front of your mat, step or jump your feet to the front. Inhaling halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, rising up to standing, Urdhva Hastasana. Gaze up at the palms. Palms down at the heart and at the side. And one full Surya A. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step or jump back, Chaturanga Dandasana, or move through your Cobra. Alternative, whatever feels good for your body, opening up the heart in Cobra or Upward Dog. And exhaling as we all meet back in Downward Dog. And when you come to Downward Dog, you can bring the knees down. Take a moment just to pause in Child's Pose. Bringing the arms out in front of you, the forehead to the mat. And play around with having the knees together or the knees apart. Just play around with how that feels in your Child's Pose. For some of you, you can even bring the palms together, bringing the prayer above the head in a way that we are opening ourselves up to what is for us, receiving what is for us. On the next breath, gently rise back up into your Downward Dog. Rising back up. On the next breath, just gently float that right leg up to the sky. Shift forward, bring your right knee to your nose, and place that right foot down on the mat. Bring that left heel down. Rising up into Warrior One, Virabhadrasana One. The hips are facing the front of the mat. The right knee is over that right ankle. Option to bring the palms together, gazing up at the palms. If you feel more open, or the arms can be shoulders width apart. Bring those shoulders down away from the ears. And on the next breath, open up into Warrior Two. So right toes are facing the right, left toes are facing the left. That right knee is over that right ankle. And the chest and the shoulders are facing the left side of you. Shoulders away from the ears, gaze to the middle finger on the right hand. Breathing here. Keep that breath moving. That core is engaged here. The legs are active and strong. And on the next breath, reverse the warrior. Left palm back on the left leg. Flip that right palm towards the mat, the ground I meant. Breathing here, keep that bend in the right knee. And on the next breath, come back into Warrior Two. Straighten that right leg. Kick the hips to the left, tucking that right hip into the left hip. And pretend like someone's trying to hand you something with your right hand. You're trying to reach towards them when you can't reach anymore. The right arm comes down towards the mat. The left arm comes up towards the sky, coming into Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. Breathing here. Opening up the heart to the sky. If the gaze hurts to be up at the ceiling or the sky, you can bring the gaze down. Option to bend that right knee. If this is too much pain, option to bring that right hand onto any props. Going with the flow of the practice, even if that means that you want to modify wherever you are to meet your body where your body is. That's all part of going with the flow. It doesn't mean that you need to go with right now what is asked of you by even me on the mat. Going with the flow means that you are going with what is coming up. Breathing here. On the next breath, very gently rise back up into warrior two, breathing here. And gently bring both feet parallel so that you're completely facing the left side of your mat. And I want your toes to be pretty in, your heels to be more out. Okay, so you're in a wide-legged stance here, definitely way wider than your hips. Place the hands on the hips. Inhale as you bend backwards, opening up the heart. Exhale as you forward fold all the way across to Uttanasana. Bringing the hands down to the mat. Letting the head and the neck relax. And if you're more open, you can bring the heels of the hands in line with the heels of the feet, coming into Chaturanga arms. Breathing here. Bringing the weight more into the balls of your feet, getting that hamstring stretch. And on the next breath, gently bring the hands out in front of the face. Stay halfway as you place your hands on your hips. A deep inhale here, deep exhale, and slowly, slowly, slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. When you get to the top, shrug the shoulders up to the ears and back down. On the next breath, pivot those left toes to the left side of your mat. And the right toes in front of you. So now you're coming into warrior two, other side. I'm gonna pivot myself so that I'm facing the camera. So now your left knee should be over the left ankle. The right toes, right, are facing to the right side of you. Coming into warrior two, the other side. Gaze over the middle finger on the left hand. Breathing here. The chest and the hips are facing the right side. Breathing here. And on the next breath, reverse that warrior, bringing the right palm on the right leg, left palm facing the ground. Keep that knee over that left ankle, breathing here. And on the next breath, rise back up into your warrior two. Straighten that left leg, kick that left hip into the right hip. Okay, and you're reaching with that left hand, like someone's trying to hand you something. When you can't reach anymore, that left arm comes down towards the mat on a block or a blanket, whatever feels good to you. The right arm is up towards the sky, coming into Utthita Trikonasana, other side. Gaze can be up at the right palm or it can be down at the mat, and feel free to bend one or both knees. Whatever feels good for you here. If you have more room, you can open up the heart to the sky. Breathing here. Keep that breath moving, importantly, not holding in the breath. And go with the flow with what comes up. If you need to modify this, if that's the message you're getting, then feel free to modify this in what way you need. On the next breath, gently rise back up into warrior two. Gaze on the middle finger on the left hand. On the next breath, windmill both hands down around that left foot, coming onto the ball of your right foot. Use your core to bring your left foot back to meet your right foot and move through your vinyasa or go straight back into downward dog. And on the next breath, gently come back into child's pose, taking a moment to pause. A moment to just notice what is coming up for you. What messages are coming up, what thoughts are coming up, what beliefs. And telling those thoughts, those beliefs, those emotions, thank you. Hello, I see you. Thank you for being here. Then on the next breath, gently rise up so that you're sitting on your heels. And we're gonna work with a little bit of a heart opener right now. Ustrasana, which is camel. It's a nice back bend, but I'm gonna demonstrate first what it'll kind of look like. So we're gonna come into our knees, but you want your knees to be about hips width apart. And this is what we don't want to do with Ustrasana. We don't want to like bring the whole body back. If you've been in my class for the last few years, you know I always refer to that as a Michael Jackson move, which looks awesome, but isn't quite what we're going for here, okay? So what you want to do is you want to imagine like you are up against a wall, like the hips are up against a wall. Okay, so you're going to start off with the hands on the hips, and you're going to really work to have a gentle bend in the back, but the hips are pushing forward. Okay, so you're going to open up the heart to the side. Those hips are pushing forward as if someone is literally giving me resistance on those hips. You're going to let the head hang if that feels comfortable. For some of you, you may be able to grab the heels, but keep those hips pushing forward. Really opening up the heart, and you're working to add that gentle bend in the upper back here, breathing here. All right, so that's what it's going to kind of look like. Okay, so come with the knees, hips width apart. If you want to tuck your toes, that'll make it a little bit easier. The heels will be closer to you. And just gently push the hips forward and allow the upper back to bend, opening up the heart. Gaze up at the sky. And if you feel comfortable, you can come back and grab the heels. But keep those hips pushing forward like we're against a wall. Keep that breath moving here. We don't want to hold in the breath. Breathing here for 3, 2, 1. Very gently rise back up and come back into that child's pose. Taking a moment just to stretch out the back, forehead down to the mat. And on the next breath, gently make your way up into downward dog while we transition into pigeon pose to really open up the hips. Transition into downward dog, breathing here for just a moment, letting the head and neck relax. Float that right leg up to the sky. Shift forward, bringing that right knee to the nose, and lower that right knee down on the mat. Untuck those left toes and let that left leg stretch out behind you. Just gaze back at your left foot and just see if the left foot is straight. We don't really want a sickled ankle here, so just make sure that the toes are pointing back behind you. The right knee is pointing in front of you, and that right foot, the closer that right foot is to your groin, the less intense that stretch is going to be on the hip flexor. If you want to open up more, you have space, you're going to work that right foot parallel to that right knee. But tune into where your body is right now. Take this moment just to tune in. Going with the flow, seeing what is coming up right now, what you need. Maybe you might need a block or a pillow underneath that right hip if it's lifted pretty high off the mat. And inhale as you puff the pigeon, opening up the heart to the sky. And exhale as you forward fold, letting the forehead come down to the mat, letting the arms stretch out in front of you. Breathing here. Working now to transmute that yang energy and embodying that yin energy, that energy of being, of receiving. We've done the action, we've done a lot of doing in the beginning of this practice. Now we're going to receive, we're going to allow that yang energy, that heat that we built, to transform in our body, to open up space in our body. Relaxing the jaw, relaxing the mouth, separating the teeth. I want you to imagine like that right hip is coming down and back ever so slightly to square those hips. Breathing here. And if you want to place the forehead on a blanket or a pillow, you're more than welcome to go grab that. We'll be here for about another minute. Giving gratitude to what is coming up for us, the wisdom that appears before us. Saying thank you to the emotions, the thoughts, the beliefs, and learning to discern between those beliefs that come up for us that are no longer serving us. How can we release those and make room for new thoughts to enter into this new cycle? Next breath, slowly start to bring the palms back to the body. And very, very, very gently plant those palms on the mat. Tuck those left toes. Lift that left knee up and gently rise back into a downward dog. It may feel good to float the right leg up to the sky. You might even want to open up the hips if that feels good to you. Bringing that right foot ultimately back down. On the next breath, float that left leg up to the sky. Shift forward, bringing that left knee to the nose and lower that left knee down and untuck those right toes. Straighten out the right leg behind you. Just check that right foot, that the toes are behind you. You don't have a sickled ankle. And then bring the palms closer to the heart. Open up the heart to the sky, gaze up, puffing that pigeon. And then exhale as you lower all the way down. The arms out in front of you, the forehead down to the mat. And embodying that yin energy, where can you let go of doing in this moment? And where can you just be? Where can you let the mat just support you and receive you? And we're relaxing the face, separating the teeth, relaxing the jaw. And if it feels good to you, you can always bring a pillow in front of you. You can bring a blanket or a mat if you want to lower your forehead down on anything. And just noticing what's coming up for us. What thoughts are coming up, what emotions, what beliefs. We're telling thank you to anything that shows up for us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with me. And discerning between those beliefs that no longer serve us. How can we acknowledge those beliefs without giving them any more of our energy? With this full moon in Capricorn this evening, how can we make room to release for the next cycle and let go of what no longer serves us? And imagine that I am bringing your left hip slightly back, down and back, so the hips are more square. So gently making that adjustment, noticing what's coming up as a result. Noticing the breath. We'll be here for about another 30 seconds, modifying as needed. And on the next breath, slowly start to bring the palms back to the body. And plant the palms down on the mat. Tuck those right toes, lift that right knee up, and very gently in your own time, push yourself back into downward dog. You may want to bring that left leg up to the sky. If you want to open it, this is also a nice time to do so. Bringing that left foot back down onto the mat and coming down into child's pose just for a moment. Forehead down to the mat. Then when you're ready, slowly rising up to seated. Kick your hips off to one side. Bring the legs out in front of you, coming into Paschimottanasana. This is a great time if you have a blanket or a pillow or anything to add just a slight elevation to the hips. This can really help to release the lower back, especially if there's any tension. For all the sitting that we do at the computer these days. And flex the feet in front of you, sitting tall. Raise the arms to frame the ears. Inhale the crown of the head up to the sky. Exhale as you forward fold. And just let yourself fall forward. So we're not reaching for the feet. We're not reaching anywhere. We're just allowing our body to be where our body is right now. We're meeting our body where it is. Letting the head and the neck relax. And it may feel good even to bend the knees and hug the chest to the thighs and let the head relax in between the knees. It's a really relaxing, soothing practice to be in. It really activates that parasympathetic nervous system. Breathing here wherever you are. If you have a blanket or a pillow that you want to place on the knees to let your head relax on, that's a great time to do so. The jaw is relaxed, the teeth are separated. Letting the head and the neck relax. Can you just let the head and the neck hang naturally, really opening up that cervical spine. Really slowing down that breath, bringing more of that breath into the abdomen. The navel moving away from the spine on every inhale, and moving towards the spine on every exhale, really activating that deep breathing, that diaphragmatic breathing. And on the next breath, slowly, slowly, slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. When you get to the top, shrug the shoulders up to the ears and back down. And you can move your blanket or anything that you were sitting on off to the side and come all the way down onto your back. And when you do lower to your back, hug the knees into the chest, giving yourself a tight squeeze, a hug, really embodying that self-love here. And you can rock left and right, massaging the spine. And then coming to a still point, bringing that right leg down to the mat, that right leg is extended, and squeezing that left knee into the body or out towards the left armpit if you're a little bit more open in the hips this evening. You can even move that left knee in circles if that feels good to you. And bringing that left knee to stillness, transferring that left knee into the right arm, and bringing that left knee over to the right side of our body, coming into a spinal twist. Floating that left arm up to the sky and peeling that left shoulder blade down on the mat. Or can you simply just be here, maybe even just releasing the right arm and letting that left knee be where it's going to be. We're not forcing or striving or straining to be anywhere other than where we are right now. Releasing any excess heat or that yang energy that we built up at the beginning of practice, which spinal twists are really great for. Also really great for really opening up space in the spine, in the heart even. Just noticing what is coming up, going with the flow, whatever way that means to you right now. How can we move with the natural direction of life right now? Instead of resisting what is coming up for us, how can we be observant and just be aware of what is coming up for us and just listen to what that could be telling us, whether it's an emotion, whether it's a belief. We don't have to choose to believe what is coming up for us. It doesn't make it any less real. And very gently bring both feet back down onto the mat. Both knees are bent. Just gently push into the feet, lift the hips off the mat just to neutralize the spine and lower the hips back down. Once again, bring both knees into the chest, giving yourself a tight squeeze. You can rock left and right, massaging the spine. And this time, holding on to your right knee and extending down your left leg, squeezing that right knee into the body or out towards the right armpit. You can move that right knee in circles if that feels good to you. Then coming to stillness as you transfer that right knee into the left hand and swing that right knee over to the left side of the body. Floating that right arm up to the sky, peeling that right shoulder blade and arm down onto the mat. Feel free to release that left hand and just simply let the knee open to where it wants to open right now. Where can we soften in this moment and just be? Not striving to be anywhere in the future and not trying to be where we were once before, but simply just being here in the now and the present. Relaxing the jaw, softening the mouth and the face. Really drawing out that exhale. Can we make that exhale even longer? Really soothing us, calming our nervous system. And when you're ready, bringing both feet back down onto the mat, bending both knees. Gently push into the feet, lift the hips off the mat for just a moment to neutralize the spine. Lower the hips back down and squeeze the knees back into the body, giving yourself one last hug. Really hug yourself. Try to see if you can lift the head up, forming an egg. Forming as tight of an egg as you can, squeezing, squeezing, squeezing everything, and then gently release. And coming down into the final asana, Shavasana, final pose. Letting the legs come out in front of you, letting the arms come out to the sides. Grabbing any props that you need, blankets, eye pillows. Slowly start to deepen the breath, bringing movement into the body, wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, stretching the arms up overhead if that feels right now, stretching the legs out in front of you. And when you're ready, rolling over onto either side, coming into a fetal position, taking a moment to collect the breath, to start new. And when you're ready, coming back up onto the mat in a comfortable seated position, perhaps on the edge of a block, a blanket, a pillow, bringing both palms together at the heart, Anjali Mudra. Giving gratitude to ourselves for showing up to our yoga practice. Giving gratitude to our mind, our body, our breath, our spirit. And giving gratitude to those in our lives that show up for us, support us, care for us. And if the heart has even more room now in this moment, spreading this out even more, giving gratitude to those in our local community, perhaps our neighbors, or those in our whole city. If the heart has even more room for gratitude, giving gratitude to those in our state, in our whole country. Perhaps out to the whole world. And if we really have that space this evening, out to the whole universe. May this full moon in Capricorn give us the opportunity to celebrate our blessings, give gratitude to all those around us, give gratitude to ourselves, celebrate how far we've come. May this full moon also allow for us to discern between that is serving us and that which is no longer serving us. Releasing what no longer serves us to make room for new beliefs, new ideas, new action. Take a deep inhale in through the nose and give a big sigh out as you exhale. I thank each and every one of you for honoring and sharing this practice with me. It is always an honor to share this space with you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and happy full moon in Capricorn. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Just a quick announcement. So for those of you who have already seen on my Instagram, I've been doing a Kundalini series for the Enneagram and for Ayurveda. And I'll be picking up some more classes starting this weekend on Sunday, as well as Monday and Wednesday. So if you are an Enneagram 1 or an Enneagram 2, check out my Instagram. And it's completely free to attend. They're 30-minute Kundalini sessions. And just let me know. If you have any questions, you can email me at theexpandinglotus@gmail.com. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening and your weekend. See you in the future. Bye.